Gabriel, you've been tracking the evolution of next generation networks for years now at Heavy Reading. What's your view on where operators are in terms of transforming their networks and virtualizing their functions?
A couple of issues we've seen. One is generally a lot of the implementations are siloed still. So you're not necessarily working off a common platform. That's something that we need to address. One type of NFVI platform, as it were.
We're 5 years into this from the first paper that we saw on NFV. We're about 7 years in from the creation of the first SDN frameworks with ONF, maybe a little more than that. And I think as an industry, we're still having the same conversations when we all get together about where do we start? How do we think about virtualization? What's the role of the telco in this innovation? It's almost like we haven't made progress.
Systems work very well, but they're generally very kind of craft driven. It takes a lot of integration and expertise to deploy the application and make the performance really up to kind of carrier grade standards. So for there, we need to see basically a lot more automation, and we need to bring in some of the tool sets that be more familiar to the cloud world.
The infrastructure is still very fragile, so my ability to continue to scale it is problematic, and we're kind of stuck there as an industry. And we think we see that in the data points at the right? The first is that 44% of the industry is really concerned that these siloed instances of VNF appliances and the real lack of NFV and SDN solution interoperability is a problem.
And we're kind of in that trough of disillusionment at the moment, aren't we, with NFV? How can the industry get out of that trough?
We're in the trough because the realizations of CapEx reduction, the realizations of OpEx reduction, the realizations of faster rollout of new services, the realization of faster time to deployment, faster time to revenue, all of those realizations have just not been possible yet because I think, as Gabe said, we've been so focused on building an architecture and rebuilding things that we've done before that we really haven't put the forward thought into what the new use cases, new services, new operational models, new procurement models will be going forward.
I pulled this. This is the ETSI 2014 NFV white paper. The image, I think, was the exact same in the 2012, which was, let's build these NFVI nodes and use it to deliver new technology and new operational investments that leverage a combination of vendor proprietary technology as well as open source. And doing that, we can accelerate innovation.
But how can that actually happen? Is it only through experience, or can companies like Dell bring their experience from the IT world to the telco world?
On the one hand, there's absolutely experience that needs to be gained by the service provider community, by the telecommunications service providers specifically. And yes, there are some lessons learned in the IT industry. On the Dell EMC side, we absolutely have IT expertise in building clouds, public, private, etc. But in addition to that, we have invested very heavily in a service provider program specifically focused at building what we call ready solutions, service provider ready solutions that are designed to help operators build that common platform, that infrastructure plus virtualization layer plus telemetry plus automation, and be able to realize that underlying platform in a uniform way, scaled to the appropriate use cases, whether it be a centralized deployment or more towards the edge. But in addition to that, it also brings expertise inside of Dell EMC that we now understand the layers above the infrastructure, above the virtualization. We understand the workloads, we understand the operations of those workloads, we understand the automation of those workloads, we understand the data that's required to be able to extract and build SLAs around those workloads and services, and we can help and bring that expertise to service providers and help them accelerate their own deliverables.